Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to our session on the errors which students make or the GDPI mistakes which students make. So this is a very common issue which people have. So obviously, I know the session starts at 9. So initially, we'll just start talking a little bit about uh, since the XAT response sheet was also out today, what people I'm sure they must have checked what their answers they have marked and what kind of scores are they getting. So I hope you are in one of those categories who've got a good score and is looking to prepare for GDPI. Also, same way. So obviously, first I'll talk about. I want to check whether you all can hear me and see me. So in the chat, if you all can just answer that, okay. So we'll just take a moment and I'll just check the settings and everything for the chat. So just give me a moment first. Okay, great. So I've got some reply that some people have said they can hear me and see me obviously. So great. Also, the way I'm dressed, I'm sure you can see that I'm in Delhi and braving the cold of Delhi. Very, very cold day over here today. So, okay, cool. Let's start with the session then. What are the common mistakes which you should be avoiding in this whole? It's not only about what answers you give which you are making a mistake, but even your preparation journey, whether it's going to be 1 month, for somebody it might be 20 days, for somebody it might be 2 months, depending on what calls you will get, when your calls. So sometimes, some calls happen in Jan, Feb, and some calls even happen as late as March, April. So obviously, different calls will happen at different times. And people will have to start preparing early. The earlier you will start, the better it is for you, because there's so much content which you will have to grasp in this next few weeks or whatever I would say, not only in terms of content, real life content, what happened, why did Trump attack Venezuela, or what's happening with the price of gold and silver, especially if you're a finance student, what do you see, the global markets, how is it reacting, and so on, so on. There could be so many things which you would be talking about, right? So depending on all these things, what I will do is I will first talk about, first 30-40 minutes, I'll talk about the mistakes which you should be avoiding. And then last 10-15 minutes, I'll keep for questions. Obviously, in between also, if you'll ask some questions, I'll try and answer them to whatever I can best answer during that part. Otherwise, at the end, 10-15 minutes will be specially for questions. Okay, great. So I'll start now. Now, what are the common mistakes which people make during their GDPI prep? Okay. Now, please do not think of your GDPI preparation as a last minute formality. Okay. Don't wait for the calls to come. Okay, see, everybody knows approximately at what scores will calls come. Now, CAT scores already out, XAT scores will be out in a few days, or based on our calculator which we released today, you all will have an approximate idea of what your XAT score is going to be. So, based on that, you know that you will have some calls, and students who are expecting calls from CAT and XAT will also expect calls from other colleges like NMIMS, Symbiosis, or any such colleges. It's MDI Gurgaon, IMT Ghaziabad, or any such colleges, or the IITs. So all these colleges will have something or the other. It will have either a GD or a PI or a VAT, or maybe a combination, and so on. So all these things. So don't keep your preparation, don't keep dragging your preparation. The whole idea is that if you keep dragging your preparation and wait for the call, I've noticed over the years, now I've been in this industry for more than close to 17, 18 years. Now, over the years, I've realized one thing, that so many students come at the last moment. They just come at the last moment and they feel, okay, sir, I have a call. I got a call and now my interview call is within 10 days, 15 days, and I want to start now. Becomes very difficult, literally impossible, right? Okay. So obviously somebody's asking me, how do you convert 100% GDPI calls? Well, there is no magic bullet to it. I have, from all my experience in these years, I'll give you an example of one of my ex-students. Today is a pretty popular name also. Uh, this guy had, I remember in those days, he had all the Blackie calls. All the Blackie calls, right? A, B, C, L, I, K, everything. And I remember him not converting 4 out of the 6. But he converted the most important one, that is IIM Ahmedabad. Now, God knows what happened. Some interview he did well, some interviews he didn't do well. Maybe learned his IIM Ahmedabad interview was a little bit later than the others, and hence you don't know what happens. Is that every time you're preparing for these, you're giving these interviews, you will learn from the interviews themselves. So hence, one very important suggestion I have is, since somebody asked that, one very important suggestion I have is that remember, initial calls, however bad a college, or I don't want to call a college bad or something, but say even if it is not within your area which you're going to take up, say just for example, say suppose you're not going to take up Symbiosis ka some college, but if you have a call from there and if it is before your main calls, it is worth going and taking it. Take it as a practice interview. Nothing wrong in that, because how many ever mocks you will take, the actual experience of an interview is very, very different. So if you have, especially the ones who will get most of the IIM calls, they'll start getting all other calls also. So please go and take those interviews. So first thing, start early. The earlier you start, the more time you will have. And as I said, there is enough for you to do. I am talking about all the questions around the generic questions first, which we will have. Why MBA? Tell me something about yourself, weakness, strengths. All that preparation itself will take a huge amount of time. And then there is the numerous amount of current affairs. It could be current affairs which happened in the last 1 year, last 1 week, or maybe 10 years back. Obviously, the argument is, sir, how much will I prepare? Yes, I understand, but you have to keep preparing in such a way that I always tell people, when you prepare, take a point and start preparing out from it. So suppose if you say Trump and Venezuela, what happened between America and Venezuela in the last couple of days. Now keep going backwards. Okay, why was it? Why is Venezuela so important? What are the earlier such instances? What other things happened? Now what can happen? And so on, so on. There's so much to prepare. So you take one topic and keep opening it up, and then say India-Pakistan. We all know India-Pakistan does not have a very great relationship. Now once you look at India-Pakistan, don't look only at the political scenario. Just don't look, say, there will be some haters and some lovers of the present government. Don't get into that zone. Look at it, how much is it costing India financially, how much is it costing Pakistan financially, how much part of our GDP is going into defense and so on. All those becomes very, very important things. So your preparation is unlimited. That's very, very important. You can't just say, okay, I will prepare a little bit and I will not go into detail. Doesn't work. So hence, the earlier you start, the better. Don't make a mistake of starting late, and that is, according to me, the most important advice I'm giving you today. Start early. Second part, your answers sound too rehearsed. Okay. Now, sometimes the solution to this is what? Keep changing your answers a little bit every time. And when I say keep changing them, I'm not saying that change them, change them completely, change the meaning. But yeah, just use words which are new every time. Try and add some vocabulary new every time you're giving a mock. Especially your standard answers. Which are the 2-3 standard questions? Why MBA? Long-term goals, short-term goals. Tell me something about yourself. Weakness, strengths. Why should we select you? All these questions which we have are the standard answers. Don't rehearse them too much. So what do I expect you to do over here is that whenever you're trying to give the answer, try to give it as if you're talking to a person, like a conversation, not like answering a question. Make it sound more like a conversation. The more you make it sound like a conversation, the better the answer will come out. It will actually look very natural. Because finally, an interview, it's not just about answering questions. The interviewer is judging a lot more things. He's not judging you only on your answer. He's also judging you on the way you've talked, the way you sat, the way you're dressed, on all those things. Do not sound like a parrot. Don't make the answers like a parrot and just, okay, oh, one after the other, just don't keep giving it blah, 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 blah. Okay, I have done this, I have done that. Yes, everybody knows that. Most of those are there on your resume, which he has in your hand, or your SOP, which he or she has in your hand. So don't just give out those answers that way. Always, yes, you should know them. You should know what you're going to say. You should never go unprepared. Don't please mistaken that I'm saying that you should go unprepared. You should go prepared, but don't make your answers sound very, very rehearsed. That's a very important trick. Now I'm going to just read some questions which people have said over here. Okay. Okay. Now, there are a couple of questions. How do you explain gap years and all that? So, we will also have more sessions. Today's session is more about the mistakes. Tomorrow, we have one more session where I will actually talk about the actual answers. How do you frame your answers? How do you talk about the gap year and so on? So, we'll talk about those also. Somebody else is asking, what about in-person interview practice, sir? See, very frankly, in an interview, it doesn't matter. Yeah, in GD, it might still matter, but in an interview, it does not matter so much whether you are sitting right in front of me or you're sitting online. Okay, that's one thing which I believe, but obviously, everybody is different. But if you're going to take it very, very seriously, also take all your interviews very seriously. Every time you sit for a mock interview, make it as if reach the place or online or whatever it is, as if you are for an IIM interview. That means dress yourself well, formally, suit, tie, whatever it is, shave, clean shaved, everything. Even if your lower half of it is not going to be seen in the interview, wear your trousers, wear your shoes, wear your socks, because I want everything to be planned to the T. Don't just randomly sit for an interview. Whatever you, so the very important thing I used to tell people, which then got pretty popular, that I used to tell people that a lot of people keep a beard nowadays, and then just a couple of days before the interview they feel, oh, should I keep my beard, should I not keep it, and then they shave it. Now suddenly 2 years say you're having a beard, and in the last 2-3 days before the interview you shave. Now what happens? You're suddenly feeling different. You're not comfortable with yourself, and your half the attention is whether you're looking good without the beard or not. So don't do that. If you're going to shave, shave at least 1 month in advance. If you're not going to shave, then keep your beard well trimmed and all, and take it till the interview. So that's the suggestion. Okay, as I said, I'm going to keep reading questions. Okay. Time limit for questions is something which people ask me, how much time limit? So they see, always have your answers well rehearsed, so normally 90 seconds to 120 seconds is a good time for an answer. Like, tell me something about yourself, or why MBA. 120 seconds के आसपास is good. Also, one very common problem which students have, they feel that they have to keep talking. If the interviewer is not asking the next question, people don't like silence. Either you talk or I talk. That's a very poor thing. If you have finished your answer, period. That's it. Stop. It is okay. Now it is the interviewer's job to go to the next level. Okay. Obviously, you have to learn to lead the interview, which I'll talk about tomorrow. How do you lead the interview? How do you tell the interviewer that this is the place I want you to ask me the next question? All that we'll discuss tomorrow, as I said. Okay. Okay, cool. So we'll keep going ahead further. So don't make your answers sound too rehearsed. The best way to do this is, in today's technology world, is to record yourself whenever you are invest into a small tripod, 300-400 rupees ka tripod, put your phone there and record whatever you're saying. If you don't like what you're seeing, sorry, the interviewer is also not going to like it. Very simple. Okay, so that's very, very important. You cannot sound robotic. That's a very, very important thing. Always sound as if the answers are coming out right from within you. Don't make them sound robotic, that, oh, I have by-hearted this answer, I'm going to just come out and give it. That's not the way it works. So, can the interviewer be in a bad mood? Yes, he can be. He might have a fight or no or whatever. The interviewer can be in a bad mood. Well, that's your bad luck, good luck, whatever. As I said, how to tackle all this will be spoken about tomorrow. From tomorrow we start our GDPI prep. I'll be giving you the details and everything, what all we offer, and all that will be given. Now, reader or not, tell me very truthfully in the chat, how many people are readers? How many people have read books in life? And when I mean books, don't give me 3 or 4 books is not a reader. In your lifetime, if you've read 3 or 4 or even 5 books, you are not a reader. At least 20 plus books, then you're really a reader. Okay? So in the chat, just tell me, are you a reader or not? Okay? I'm waiting for people to give me the answer in the chat. Now, what happens if you are not a reader? If you are not a reader, what do? First of all, don't go and say in the interview that reading is one of your hobbies, right? Okay. So in the interviewer, don't say reading is your hobby. Yes, today's world, things have changed. You can talk about podcast, right? But then what genre becomes very important. Like how reading, even podcasts will be on what genres. Yes, you could be into ebooks, you could be into audiobooks, completely okay. But say reader only if you are actually a reader. If you are not a reader, don't say you're a reader. Very, very difficult to convince somebody that you're a reader if you're not. And especially if the opposite person is a good reader. He will catch your bluff like this. And that comes to very, very important point. Do not bluff. Should I bluff? Very frankly, no, you should not bluff. Bluffing is not a good idea. Again, as I said, tomorrow we'll discuss more about that. But if you're going to talk about podcast, you better have been hearing podcasts at least for the last 3-4 years. Okay, so if you tell me, sir, okay, what is your one of this? So I would say I was a reader 10-15 years back. I was a reader, maybe 10 years back. I read a lot in my life till I was 35, 37. And then maybe I stopped reading a little bit. But post that, I've got more into podcast. And if you really ask me anything around finance or sports podcasts and all that, I would have heard a lot of them. Obviously, you can't, as in life, you can't read every single book. Same way as in the internet, where there is so much data available or so many podcasts available, you could not have seen and heard all of them, right? So I'm again going back to some of the questions. Yeah. So somebody says, so Gaurav Singhal is saying, sir, I watch documentaries but of different types. Great. Whatever genre you have, talk about it. Unless it is something unethical or something like that, then just keep that under this. So that's it. So be very careful with what you're saying. Don't present yourself as reader by reading the synopsis of 10 or 15 books from ChatGPT. Worst thing to do. Okay? If you are going to take 10 or 15 books and tell ChatGPT to give you a synopsis of those books, very frank, yeah, maybe if you're a reader, you read 50 to 80 books, and now in your life, and if you feel that another 10 books are synopsis padke, I can maybe make that close to 100 books. Great, no problem. Then you can do that. But if you've never read in your life, maybe read a couple of books just before the interview, especially if you are going for a HR, then Fish and all such books we will give you a list of books which you can read depending on what genre you are from or what area you are going to present to your interviewer, whether you're interested in HR, marketing, finance, okay, all these things. But if you're not a reader, please do not try to bluff that you're a reader. It will never work. Treating current affairs as facts only, your opinion matters too. Yes, I know the fact. Trump ne Venezuela pe attack kiya. He captured the president from there, brought him to US. He's put him in jail. Even his wife was brought from there. I don't know whether both are in jail. Only one of them is jail. Then the vice president के साथ there's some discussion going on and so on. These are the facts. That's one part. Knowing facts in today's day and age is very easy. Your opinion on why it happened. Don't have a very, very one-sided opinion. Always remember a coin has two sides. If you are able to speak on both the sides, very important thing. This will help you in GDs, this will help in interviews, this will help you everywhere. Even in VAT, always have an opinion on both sides, good and bad. I know it might be very difficult in today's world to find a good reason that Trump has attacked Venezuela. But read, I'm sure somebody must have spoken something good about it on the internet or somewhere. Try and read, try and hear it. Maybe, please remember Instagram is not your source of information. I'm so sorry, but most of you all have become Instagram experts. Instagram पे एक 30 seconds का reel देखा, एक 1 minute का reel देखा, and people will have such a huge opinion about what Trump has done in Venezuela. Go into the depth. Don't do that. That's a huge mistake. Tell me again how many people do that with Instagram. Okay, I'm going to a question. Okay, read a lot of news is good. Okay. So somebody say I was a good reader earlier. Yes, why not? Mimicry industry podcast is not a bad. History and business related, not bad. Hobby is cooking, not bad at all. Why not? And especially if you're a man. If you're a man and if your hobby is cooking, show it. Please don't understand. I'm not doing any gender bias. Okay? Even today's women also can show hobby as cooking. I've got nothing against it. But a man will get that much extra brownie points. I'm so sorry for it, the girls. The girls will also have a lot of places where they can get that brownie points. Show interest in finance, huge thing. It's not important to have stats and numbers. Somebody says, sir, stats and numbers, if I don't have, what do I do? It's not very important whether you need to have. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open the chat on my phone so that I don't need to go and check on the screen again and again. I'm just going to do that over here. I'm going to open the chat on my phone. Okay, so I think that will be much better for us. Yeah. Okay. So hobby, somebody said, and I said good one. I am not a reader, but I watched 30-minute opinions. Not bad. If you've done enough of something, it is always a good thing. So important is your opinion matters. Whatever topic you're going to talk about, see whether you have an opinion. Don't have a one-sided opinion. That's the second thing. Always opinion on both the sides. Okay, that's one more important thing. Have an opinion on both the sides. Now, let's go ahead further. Let's go to the third point. Sorry, this was the third point. Let's go to the fourth point. Okay, so before that, just as people were saying, what all will our GDPI product offer? My session starts there tomorrow. The first session I'm going to do tomorrow is actually how to market yourself. How to sell yourself. In short, it is also how to handle tricky GDPI questions, PI questions. Okay, whatever you want to call that session. How to market yourself, how to sell yourself, how to tackle tricky PI questions. It's going to be a detailed session tomorrow. 6+ mock interviews with experts is what you will have. Interviews will also include interviews from mentors who are in those particular, who have passed out from those particular colleges where you have calls. So it will not be only interviews. These are not only interviews, but they are also discussion with these mentors. You can also have some time to discuss what you want to talk to the mentor about. 5+ GD sessions, multiple SOP reviews, multiple VAT practice sessions. This is going to be very important, especially for people who their verbal was not very good. Going to be very, very important. Daily GK and current affair. ये तो जितना करोगे उतना कम है. Keep doing more and more. It will keep helping you. Hybrid GDPI preparation, you can get the exact details, how hybrid will it be, which cities will it be optional and so on. Okay. So somebody saying mic is too close to me. Okay, 1 second. I'll just put that away a little bit then. Yeah, is that better? Just let me know if the mic is now better. I've just kept the mic a little bit away from me. Are we fine, everybody? Just quickly let me know in the chat. Okay, I know there's a delay always in the chat. So just let me know, I'll wait. Okay, great. Then that part is taken care of. Yeah, so everybody, what all we are offering is clear. You can call up iQuanta's offices, the helpline number or whatever to get your details and discounts. So, next point. What do we want to talk about further? Overconfidence and know it all case or attitude. You know, one very, very important thing I keep telling people is attitude. Always when you go for an interview, sound very, 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 very humble. Okay, even confidence is good, but overconfidence in an interview can actually kill your chances. Okay, let me tell you that the panelist or the interviewer is much, 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 much more smarter than you. And one very important thing, even if he is not smarter than you, let's assume he's a little bit dumb. Then he will ask you dumb questions. And then it becomes difficult to answer them. So don't be too overconfident and don't show an attitude. Always be humble. End nicely, start nicely, greet them nicely. Have that whole feeling of that attitude thing very, very, very important. Okay? So, also never say, oh, this is my favorite topic, I can talk endlessly about it. That becomes overconfident. That's actually overconfidence. Don't do that, because then if you get stuck at that topic, like, you know, if you tell me, oh, cricket, I know everything about cricket, and then randomly I'll slip in a question from the 1990s. Oh, you're not aware this was such a big incident. And that's how people get screwed. So please be very, very careful. And don't ever try to become yes, sir, I like this area. I think, always answer these questions like this. Sir, I think I should be able to do well at such questions. Or I will be able to most probably answer. Or whenever you want to take a guess, especially in an PI, when you want to take a guess, you're not very sure, but you're vaguely sure. Sir, but I'm not very sure, but if I had to take a calculated guess, or if I had to take an educated guess, this is what I would say. Use such words, they will be huge for you. That's very, very important. I would not disagree with the view of a panel member. Why do you want to disagree? Please leave our egos at home. Yeah, if you have a fact where you're 110% sure, then you can disagree. It's a fact. Like, just randomly, it's a sports fact. Who was the first person to be given out by the Third Empire? It's a very common trivia. Most of you would have heard it before. It was Sachin Tendulkar. But suppose somebody argued with me and says, oh no, this is wrong, then I would say, sir, but I think most probably, let's say the interviewer says, no, I don't think so, you're right. So, sir, maybe I don't remember, but to the best of my knowledge, I think it was Sachin Tendulkar. That is what I remember. That is how I would say it. So, don't argue. Okay? Veda or Vedanta, whatever that is, Veda, right? So, Veda, I would be very careful when I'm disagreeing with somebody. There I will always say that, sir, I'm not very sure, but I think this is the case. That's how I will put it. Or, sir, my view over here is this. Also, whenever you're addressing anybody, any national, international figures, please don't say Trump. What is Trump? At least say respected. If not, you don't want to use the word respected, say, sir, the President of America, Mr. Donald Trump. For the India's Prime Minister, I would definitely want to use, sir, respected Prime Minister from India. Or even if you want to use it for Rahul Gandhi, you'll have to use the same language. Now over here, whether you agree or whether you respect the person or not, does not matter. You will always use nice words. Okay, these are very important things, and that shows your humility, your attitude towards thing. Comes to my next point. According to me, attitude matters. They are connected points. Attitude matters. What do I mean by attitude matters? एक बहुत अच्छा सा पॉइंट है. Let's say I am 50 something, I am 50 years old something. I have a son who's around 23, 24, which is roughly your age, right? Most of y'all are, my son is actually 22. Yeah, so roughly your age. Let's say some nice girl comes for an interview. At that stage, if I ever feel in my mind, wow, such a nice girl, she would be such a nice wife for my son. Do you realize what's happening? In my mind, I have an impression of the child that the child is so nice, humble, and so on. Same way, if the interviewer has a daughter and if you are a male, are you impressing him or her so much that he's thinking of it? I know it will sound funny today, but somehow, if you can do that in their mind, it will be great. Oh, definitely political questions will be asked. Okay, I know, as I said, that it will sound funny that, oh, why is sir saying this, that why should I impress him for him or her for marriage? You're not saying that. He doesn't want, I don't want to get my son married tomorrow. I am just thinking in my mind that, wow, such a nice girl or such a nice boy in life that way. Are you all agreeing with this? Think a little bit. Just think a little bit. That is what I say, attitude matters. Yes, you need to have confidence. I'm not saying no. You need to have that confidence that you're answering confidently. You're not nervous all the time. You're not anxious. You don't have too much anxiety. You're not fumbling too much. Okay, and that's how you really make a conversation. Important is make the interview a conversation. Okay, that's very, very important. Cool. Let's go ahead. Ignoring your own profile depth. Sir, I passed out of engineering 2 years back. I work in finance or whatever, or 1 year back, but I work in a finance firm and I want to do an MBA in finance. Now, suddenly, if they ask you questions of your 3rd year and 4th year, you can't sit and argue with them saying, sir, but that I had studied 2 years back, I don't remember anything, or I did not enjoy engineering and that is why I had not studied them so well, or whatever. First of all, do not give any negative answers. No negative answers. No negative answers. Always give answers which are positive in nature. Okay? Personal relationships, I don't think they ask so much. And very frankly, why do you want to get into it? If they ask you, do you have a, say, personal relation, which means you're talking about either a girlfriend or a boyfriend, the best way is just to refuse it, right? Sir, I don't have anybody in my life at present. Nothing wrong in that. So that makes it pretty simple. You know, you don't want to talk about somebody else completely in the interview. The interview is about you. So I don't think so you should get into that. Yes, your family personal questions will be important. How to handle that, I'll come to it. Especially when it will come to people with business families. So that I will handle tomorrow separately, how to handle questions around people who have businesses. So some people have good businesses where, say, the family turnover is 40 CR, 50 CR businesses. And then they ask you, okay, why MBA, but why not family business and so on. So those questions need to be answered very carefully. Right now we are talking about ignoring your profile depth means actually I'm talking about your acads. Were you an engineer? Are you a chartered accountant? Especially all these technical people. If you're a chartered accountant, they can go into depth. Again, I cannot go into a depth of a chartered accountant interview, but okay, why get into the, they can get into the depth of a chartered accountant, engineer, and suppose suddenly you're a, say, EXTC engineer, electronics and telecommunication, and the person himself is also from the same field or a similar college or a similar university as yours. He can ask you so many things around that. So please be ready. And this rule specially applies to all the freshers or who just passed out of college. If you have just passed out of college, and especially if you do not have WorkX, please be ready to answer all questions around your ACADS. Now, for people who have WorkX, let's say you work with a company like Infosys. What all do you need to know? How do you need to know your hierarchy? You need to know what is your role really well. One level above you, two levels above you, three levels above you, one level below you. Where did you start from? Then the whole company as a whole, Infosys as a whole. Infosys within India, Infosys abroad. Infosys' top 3-4 competitors like TCS, Capgemini, Hexaware or whatever that is, 4-5 competitors, kind of market share of these companies, their role within the whole country and so on. Okay, so you need to know everything. If you are a WorkX guy, you need to know everything about your this. Now, let's say you are a marketing person and with a product, a firm which a special product place, like just giving an example, say you're with Pepsi. You're with Pepsi. I know most freshers might not be with Pepsi, but again, when you're with Pepsi, are you ready to tackle those difficult questions? Now, this is a very important, tricky one. Are you ready to handle those difficult questions? Do you think people should be drinking Pepsi? Because it is such a big health hazard. They say there's so much sugar into it and so on. How do you handle such questions? Becomes very, very important. Think a little bit. Let's say you're from a company like which makes fairness creams. I know fairness creams are not a big trend nowadays, but suppose you're a company from fairness which makes fairness creams. Oh, do you think it is right to sell fairness creams? Don't you think you're discriminating on the color of a person? What? How do you handle such questions? So these becomes very tricky questions. You should, Aryan, try and make answers of as many questions which come in your life. In the next 6 mock interviews or when I will have sessions with you, whatever question I just throw at you randomly, you should try and make an answer for it. Do not try and keep anything for the last day. Like, say, example, if somebody's a cricketer. Okay, will he say, okay, I practice enough off spin, but leg spin aayega to us din dekh lunga? Somebody will come and bowl leg spin, I'll see it. I played enough off spin, I played fast bowling, but I'm not practice again leg spin. I'll see it on that day. It doesn't work that way, right? You'll have to practice again leg spin also. So yes, you will need to make up of some question which you've not come across in the mock interviews and so on. But otherwise, be ready for as many questions ka answers you can have. Don't keep anything for guessing at the last moment. Okay? So your profile becomes very important. Defensive or over honest answers. First of all, never get very defensive. कहाँ पे आता है defensive का points? Very frankly, gap year, poor ACADS, no WorkX, no proper answer for why MBA. This is the places people can get defensive. What do I mean by people getting defensive? They start kind of, no, but sir, I don't agree with you. I know this is some interview I remember so well. I was taking a mock interview. And I was grilling that person. I was trying to grill. At that one moment, that person got so irritated with me. No, but sir, I don't agree with you. Cannot happen. I was actually trying to take him or her to that level and see whether that person was actually going to come out with that answer or not. So please, that should not happen. So Veda Satre, you know, that whole Pepsi thing which I explained, I'll come, if you'll read Veda's question. So Samnik, I already mentioned this at the start of the question, session. Now, okay, how many people think that my session, today's session is robotic? Can somebody tell me? Do you all, just yes or no, quickly. Do you think the way I am speaking today, is it a robotic session, or is it sounding as not robotic? Yes, and it's okay. If you feel robotic, then say yes. No problem. So I'm waiting 30 seconds. How many people feel that the session is robotic? And as I said, if you feel yes, please say yes. I'm completely okay with it. I've got only one response. I'm waiting for other responses. Now, so Samnik, now I'm trying to answer your question. Do you know how many times I would have taken this session in my life? I would have taken this session maybe more than 100 times comfortably in my life. This or something similar. Okay? Now, after taking 100 times, it is not coming out as rehearsed. It is not coming out as robotic. Why? Because I am trying to add value every time to it. I am trying to speak to you. I am trying to speak to Veda. Okay, but aren't you joyous or smiling? But are you, I don't know. Okay, joyous or smiling, maybe I'm not I don't smile during such sessions. Yes, maybe that's my flaw. But it's not coming out robotic. Why? Because I'm trying to speak to that person at that time. Fresh, that's the reason. Okay, cool. Everybody clear? Yeah. So do not get over defensive with your answers, whether they're about anything, especially about bad ACADs. Now, how do you handle bad ACADs? Bad ACADs, you need to be a little bit honest, sir, that I did not study well. Don't say very, very poor answer to give for bad ACADs will be, so you know, we had a very poor teacher in that year. And most of my class did badly. Pathetic answer to give. So, you know, the paper was very difficult. Everybody in my class failed. And at that subject, everybody had a KT. Bad answer to give. Talk about yourself. Okay? That's how you have to think of this. Don't have over honest answers. That's what I was just telling you. Don't say my teacher was bad. Yes, there is a possibility at one subject your teacher might not be very great and you did not enjoy that subject. But you will have to come out with a very diplomatic answer there. It cannot be that cannot be the answer which you can give in an interview. So just to give you an example, since a couple of people have asked, sir, how would I handle that Pepsi kind of question? Let's try and see whether we can give an answer to that Pepsi kind of question. So you can always talk about, sir, Pepsi always clearly mentions that there is so much sugar on their cans or their bottles. They don't hide it from the consumers. So we come out very ethically and we say that there is sugar. Now it is the consumer's choice whether they want to have it or not. Secondly, it is a good drink to have once in a while. We never promote that you should have Pepsi daily. And hence that's also a thing. And if somebody is really worried about the sugar content, for them there is the Diet Pepsi or whatever option. I don't know what the exact brand is. Coke is Diet Coke, Pepsi, I don't know, whatever, Pepsi Light or whatever it is. So they have the Diet Pepsi option. So that is the way you frame your answers. It is a good drink maybe to have instead of consuming alcohol. Maybe not a bad answer. So that's how you can frame that answer around these 3-4 points. Okay. So I focused on college circular for fest organizing bodily for bad ACADs, should say that. Yes, you can say that, but you will always still have to come back to that saying that, yes sir, I could have managed somebody saying bad ACADs ke liye, my focus was on college extracurricular activities. You can say that, yes sir, I did a lot of extracurricular activities. So you're telling the interviewer, yes, I have these things on my resume. But you'll also have to say that, sir, I think I could have managed both also. I think I messed up, and hopefully your graph is going up. As you go from first year to second year to third year to fourth year, maybe your graph is going up. And if the graph is going up, you can say, sir, later I realized my mistake and I Learn to manage both the things. And that is how you can always answer these things. Yeah, so tobacco also same thing. Tobacco though, you'll have to clearly mention that it is the consumer's responsibility. Okay? We adhere by all the rules which the government gives. Hopefully you're not working with a tobacco company. Otherwise that question can be very, very difficult for you. Hopefully nobody over here is working with a tobacco or an alcohol company directly. Okay? At least Pepsi, fairness creams and all can be handled. How do you handle your strengths and weaknesses? Yes, you should come out strongly with your strengths. You should talk about them nicely. You should have enough examples where you portrayed your strengths, good examples. But very, very importantly, how do you address your weakness? Now, this is a very, very tricky situation. How do you handle weakness ka question? You handle it very tactfully. You can't give an answer like, oh, weakness, who, me? You can't give that answer also. Second, you cannot be saying that you're very weak or you give a weakness because of you which you messed up badly at work or in college. That also you cannot give. You cannot hide a strength and make it a weakness. Oh, I'm too perfect and because of which I'm normally a little bit late to give my work and all that. You're trying to show that it's a strength, but you're trying to mask it as a weakness. Doesn't work. Have the weakness, whatever it is. Most probably in today's world, it is going to be a lot of wastage of time on things like Instagram and all. Too much scrolling, that can be a weakness. Delaying my things, procrastination, delaying things for tomorrow, those can be weaknesses. And how have they really impacted you in real life? And what are most important with weaknesses, how are you trying to improve? How are you trying to improve? That's the most important part over here. Okay, I am going back to questions. Sir, can you tell them your health was the reason for your lower grades? Yes, you can bring in your health a little bit, but don't expect too much sympathy. So, Mr. Gupta or Miss Gupta, whoever that is, mine is opposite, sir, it went down with the semester. Well, keep your fingers crossed that it doesn't come up. Cool, let's go ahead. Being dishonest, exaggerating or faking familiarity doesn't work. You can't be dishonest about things, don't lie. In your whole interview, means throughout your total profile, CATs, family, business, work, college, relationships, whatever you want to talk about, maximum to maximum you can have one lie. One, that's it. Maximum one lie. And that also I am not advising. I would say only if it is a subtle thing. You're not exactly telling the truth. Not lying but not telling the truth wala lie. One is allowed, and that also you should be very convincing. You should have all the follow-up answers covered or questions covered. If they ask you a lie around there, like, we should tell people, suppose somebody's got a very good family business and a person is there, why don't you want to join a family business? So we used to tell them, even if you don't have an elder brother or somebody, create one in your mind. And they would say, yes sir, I am not handling the family business, but my elder brother is going to handle the family business. I want to do something on my own and so on, whatever. And then somewhere later they say, but I've been the only child in my life. And they forget that they said they created a brother. Such a poor thing to do. Yeah, but that's not a very great thing to say, Veda, that I did not take up enough responsibility. I would not put that as weakness. Exaggerating. Don't exaggerate your role at work. Everybody is important at work. Nobody is not replaceable. Okay? Everybody is replaceable. So don't exaggerate too much. Do not fake. Even if you don't know something, don't try to fake it. because this is a very common thing which interviewers do. They'll allow you to fake one thing, you will fake. Then they'll ask you a follow-up question, which means you'll have to fake again. They'll ask you the third follow-up question, you'll have to fake again. And in today's world, what they do, they open up the mobile, they'll Google it and show it to you, see you're wrong. And then suddenly after 4 or 5 wrong questions, you're in such an embarrassing situation that now you've become completely nervous wreck in that interview. Don't do that much. So too much responsibility can be your strength, it cannot be your weakness. I will always call it a strength. So that's it in terms of our list of weaknesses for today, at least. As I said, tomorrow I'll be starting a session. We'll be starting with a session on how to market yourself. So anybody who needs to enroll can enroll before that. We'll have the session tomorrow. Obviously, it will be only for our students. It will not be on YouTube. I will take another questions for 5 minutes, and you all can ask questions. I'll try and answer them now. I switched aerospace degree to CS degree, then planning to do MBA. Will that be a negative impact for me? Only if you're able to convince them, then it's great. Why from aerospace to CS? What happened? What changed? Why did you not want to continue? Didn't you think that area was interesting? Why computer science? Don't say aerospace did not have too many opportunities and I thought computer science has or CS has more opportunities. That's not the right answer. Try to show, always never, okay. For example, suppose if your family is a family of doctors, your father and mother both are doctors, but you don't want to become a doctor, you want to become an engineer. Why? So always talk about what you want to become. Talk about the good things about engineering which you like. Do not talk anything bad about being a doctor. So in your case, Samnik, do not talk about anything bad about aerospace engineering. Yeah. Anybody else, any questions? If no questions, then I'll end it. No worries. Let me know. I'll just hold on for the next 10-15 seconds. If people have questions, can answer. Can ask. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody? Great. Shreyesh already sounds good. Now just frame a great answer around it. It will work. I don't think so there's any problem with that. Till you're convinced that the area which you went to is your interest area, you want to make a career, it goes with your long-term goals, it's a great answer. Not bad, Sayan Sankar. You can always show those 2 internships. If you have certificates for them, great. Learn to talk about what you did in the internship, what were your roles. Even if it was a very small role, talk about it with a lot of pride. So somebody saying, sir, for my PI, I have big centers, cricket sectors, big cricket, sports, current affairs, banking, chemical engineering. How do I start? Talk about what you're doing present. Always talk backwards. What are you presently doing? And then slowly going down, what have you done in life? Okay, if you are a gold medalist or you were a gold medalist in something in school in the 7th standard, that's not something which you mention first. You will talk about what you're doing and then slowly you can mention, yes sir, I was a gold medalist. Okay, you can't say I was a topper in maths in school and then not able to answer maths question. This is a thing which happened with one of my students. She said, sir, I was a topper in school. Okay, and school maths or 12th standard maths, I got 100 on 100 or something like that. And then they asked her, give me a real life example of how NCR is equal to NCN minus R. Real life example. They didn't want the formula. So think, you have to be able to answer then that. So, you have, now how do you prepare for an area? So for example, one very common problem, people say I play tennis. And then suddenly you ask them questions around tennis, they are not able to answer that. Yes, they play the game. I cannot take that answer that, sir, I only play tennis, I don't follow it. Complete bullshit. Okay? CAT 20, somebody wants to prepare CAT 26. We have a CAT 26 batch starting, I think tomorrow or something. Please enroll for that batch. You can start enrolling, you can start studying. All what we have mentioned is being spoken about there. So, Munir, Muqaddas Munir, you can look at that batch. I come from a pharma background. I want to pursue an MBA to understand more about a family business. Not bad. If you're going to say that you want to do family business, be very careful where you say it. If you say it at a college like SP Jain Mumbai, if you say it there, what happens then? They'll start pushing you towards their family. They have a program on family managed business program. Don't want to say it there. Other interviews, not a bad thought. You're a state level player. What sport? If it is cricket, yes, I understand cricket is vast. But you at least, if you are a cricket player, you at least need to know as much as, say, I know or whatever somebody else knows. That way. Cool. I think we'll end the session today over here. I hope people learned something from it. And this is how you start your preparation. As I said, tomorrow I'll be taking the session on how to market yourself, handling tricky PI questions. In fact, that tomorrow's session will actually help you start framing your answers, and that's how you will go. Yeah, history you can always say, sir, that's too old for me. But if you're a cricket player, state level cricket player, you at least need to know something from, at your age, I would believe you at least need to know everything from 2011 onwards which has happened in Indian cricket and cricket abroad. Okay? Thank you everybody. Good night. I hope the session was worth it.